Hello, my name's Ajay and you're watching The Defining Moment for Creating the Culture of Conscience. We're delighted today to welcome back Joy Philippou. Joy is truly a woman who has searched for and discovered a passion for spirituality, and hence for the last 21 years she has been the president of Mind, Body and Soul International. Joy, thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Thank you for asking me.
Well, you've written this book, All You Need to Know About Angels, and that's going to be our topic today. So it's a very bold and obviously a very broad topic. What was the defining moment that brought you to start writing this book?
I've always been interested in angels because I had an experience as a child and as an adult. And also, I couldn't find anything in any of the books in the libraries. I read several books trying to find out a little bit more about angels and found there wasn't anything really solid that I could, that was so satisfying. So I researched the topic in all the religions, all the leading religions. I studied their scriptures and went through them with a tooth comb, with the concordance, for example, and all the angels in the New Testament, all the angels in the Old Testament, and the Quran, and all the leading Hinduism, Buddhism, they all have something about angels. So I put all that together, and that's how the book came about.
Well, is it really possible to write a book about all you need to know about angels?
As far as is humanly possible. Of course, there may be things that I don't know about, none of us can know about, but as far as humanly possible, within the limits of our mind, yes, it's as comprehensive a book as it's possible to find, because I've delved into all the religions, as I've said, and also from the artistic aspect, and from the literary aspect, angels in literature, angels in art. When I say angels in art, I mean all the painters, all the famous painters that have ever painted angels, where you can see the paintings, when they were painted, who they were painted by, what museums have them, and so on. All the angels in literature, you know, all the books that have ever talked about angels, all the films, where they were made, when they were made, where they can be seen. I covered it from every aspect possible.
And what about personal testimony? Did you meet many people who've
I've
actually...
met many people. I have. Sorry to interrupt you, but yes, I have met many people who've got stories to tell, especially stories that children say to their parents. Mummy, I saw that man, you know, Mummy, I saw somebody sitting on the foot of my bed and he had wings, and then your children very often see them. And we don't know how to deal with it, you know, unless we believe in angels, and then we know, oh, yeah, you must have seen an angel.
And have you yourself actually had your own personal experience with angels?
I must say, yes, that I have. But you see, when people used to tell me of their experiences, or I read about people's experiences, I used to poo-poo it a lot. You know, I just couldn't believe. Either they were imagining things or they were hallucinating or something like that. But when I had my own experience, if somebody tells me now that they've seen an angel, I can believe them, because I had my own encounter with an angel.
And would you tell us more about that?
All right. I had an operation when I was about 27 years old, and I came out of the operation and I was in extreme pain. And a doctor came over to me wearing white, the white costume, or whatever you call them, the white overalls that doctors wear.
Yes.
And he said, how are you feeling? I said, oh, I'm in hell. It's really so painful. And he said, would you like me to give you a painkiller, an injection, a morphine? I said, oh, yes, please. And he signaled to the nurse, and she went away and brought a dish with the injections and the medicine and the morphine and everything. And he went through the motions of getting the air out and disinfecting my arm with cotton wool and so on before giving me the injection. And then he gave it to me, and I was all right. And I said, oh, thank you, thank you. Well, the next day I said to the nurse, could you call me that young doctor? She said, well, it was a private clinic, and there were only 2 doctors who actually operated in the place. And I happened at that time to be the only patient in the whole clinic. And so I said, can I speak to that doctor? I want to thank him. She said, which doctor? I said, you know, the young English doctor. She said, we haven't got one. And I said, yes, but he told you to go, you were there. He told you to go and get them. She said, it was my day off yesterday. I wasn't here. And I know it wasn't a hallucinatory experience. I know it wasn't a hallucination because it was so real. And the fact was that I got well a lot quicker than the normal person does. It usually takes 2-3 weeks for a big operation like that, for you to begin to function properly. And the very next day I was without pain. The whole, I got healed in a very, very short time. So I've often wondered whether it was an angel or not. It certainly wasn't a human being. Whether he was an angel or a saint or something, I don't know.
Well, so that obviously was a direct encounter that
Yes.
you experienced. Now, in your book, there are several illustrations that you actually drew yourself. Now, do angels really look like human beings with wings?
Well, if we were created in God's image, as the Bible tells us, and as a lot of other religions tell us, that we are reflections of the divine, if they're going to communicate with us, they're going to have a form. They can take on any form. We know that all religions tell you can take on any form that you like if you're an angel. Yes, they can appear as an animal or they can appear as a human being. But if they're going to communicate with us, it's got to be on a human level. Otherwise, we wouldn't understand their message, would we? An angel actually means messenger, doesn't it? So if they're going to talk to us in a language we don't understand and appear to us as some kind of monster, they'd either frighten us or we wouldn't understand. Yes, I think they do appear like that, and they're also described in all the scriptures. In all the scriptures, they're described as having human form. The wings are just, the wings are just a metaphor for spirituality. That they're not held onto the earth by the gravity, the law of gravity, like we are. That's why they give them wings in art.
Now, you did mention that there is sometimes a fear of angels, this concept that they might even be like monsters. Now, I think that comes from perhaps even these stories of Lucifer, the archangel, who then went on to become Satan, and of course Satan as the source of evil, the origin of evil in this world. And then we see Satan depicted as a nasty creature with a forked tongue and a fork in his hand, and all in red. So
that's
obviously
just symbolic. That's just symbolic because
yes.
It also tells you in the Bible that Satan can appear to you as an angel of light and deceive you. He might say, do this and do that, and you're thinking it's a command from God because he's appearing as an angel of light. He can take on any form he likes.
In fact, he was known as Daystar.
Pardon?
Lucifer was known as the day star, the morning star?
Yes, he was, you see, but he disobeyed, and according to what they tell us in the Bible, he disobeyed the command of God and was thrown out. Had a real battle with the Archangel Michael.
So based on that, let's say that track record, can we actually really trust angels?
I mentioned that in my book. I deal with that because the Church, the Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church tell us that there are ways of making sure that if an angel appears to you, you don't get deceived. You make the sign of the cross, or you say, in the name of Christ, are you an angel? Or in the name of God, or in the name of the Prophet Muhammad. If you bring in the representative of God on earth, for example, who represents your faith, and you bring that in, it disappears. It's like switching on a light and the darkness just disappears. You can't be hoodwinked. You can't be deceived.
Well, I mean, this issue of trust obviously comes about because of the human fall and the understanding of the fallen angel. So can you tell us more about actually what happened and how can we really understand the concept of a fallen angel? Because after Lucifer was banished from the Garden of Eden together with Adam and Eve, so were his followers or his minions. Can you explain that?
I can only explain it according to the scriptures. I wasn't there. Yes, it has been now. It's a cosmic war now. We don't know how long it's going to take. It's a battle between good and evil. And of course the fallen angels are the ones that have sided with the devil. And the ones who are on the side of God are the powerful good angels. And we are also, what people don't realize is that we are a battlefield. Because every situation in life we're faced with makes us decide, am I going to do the right thing or am I going to do the wrong thing? Am I going to hurt someone or am I going to be useful? Am I going to live my life serving humanity and making everybody happy and serving God? Or am I going to just live for myself, ride over everybody else's feelings? All I want is money and riches and enjoy life. It depends what we choose. But we are actually the battlefield where this cosmic war is still going on. I mean, the devil and his Lucifer and his angel. Lucifer actually means light. Lucifer, the angel of light. When he was chucked out, the devil is still fighting the forces. He's still fighting God. But he's doing it through us. You see?
Now,
that's the fallen angel.
In that respect, does it really make a difference to us if we believe in angels or not? If there are anyway these forces at work, and whether or not we like it or not?
You can choose to believe in them or choose to disbelieve them, but the point is this, that if your scripture, whatever religion you are, if your scripture tells you that there are such things as angels, then how can you believe some things and not others? Now, if my Christian religion tells me that there are angels, and Christ said, be careful how you treat children, because they're angels, they're guardian angels. Will be offended if you're offending a child. He says, be careful. Now, also, the Bible also says in one of St. Paul's epistles, take care how you treat a stranger. Be hospitable, because you may be entertaining an angel unawares. So even a human being, for all you know, I might be an angel talking to you now, or for all I know, you might be an angel interviewing me. We don't know. You see? There are a lot of times when we meet people who are incredibly kind and facilitate life and help us overcome difficulties. They sometimes turn up from nowhere and perform wonderful things, and then we look for them and they're not there anymore. It's up to you whether you want to believe or not. I believe, and therefore life is sweeter for me because I believe in angels. And I also, there's a chapter in the book where I have prayers that have been written that if you invoke an angel, in the most difficult cases, it is absolutely miraculous what you can achieve by invoking the help of the angels.
Well, what about today? What's the role of angels today? We look at biblical history. 6,000 years ago, there were many angels. There were 3 archangels. Lucifer fell, and then there were other angels. More
than 3 archangels, but 7 main ones. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
I don't know all their names by heart, but I do know there's Michael, who was the head of the heavenly host. There's Raphael. There's Gabriel. There's Uriel. And others. There are 7 main archangels. They're in the book.
And did they have specific roles?
Yes, they have specific roles. According to their name, you can find out what their role is. Gabriel, Giborah in Hebrew is courage, and he's the messenger that appeared to the Virgin Mary to tell her that she was going to conceive the Christ. Uriel, Ur is light. So Uriel is the angel of light. He throws light where there is darkness. Raphael, Refuah, it means medicine. So Raphael is the angel to invoke in case of sickness and disease. He's the one that is the healer, and so on, and so forth.
And how does that correspond with the understanding of angels in other religions, and angels having a particular role to play?
Yes, in every religion. If you read the book, I did it with the help of the scripture itself. Each angel in each religion is given a role to play in human affairs, and sometimes, although they describe them differently and call them different names, they tally. They sort of correspond and bear each other out. They're not in conflict. What about the role of angels? And you're saying what's the role of angels in the world today? And we look around and we see all these wars and things going on. I'm saying if the angels weren't busy working, the world would have disappeared by now. But it's not only the angels' job, mind you, to do that. We're not going to put the whole caboodle onto the shoulders of the angels. There's God, and there's the Messiah, or whatever you want to call him, the cosmic Christ, whatever religion he belongs to. The cosmic Christ is amongst us. The angels are there just to help us.
And what's the relationship between the Messiah and angels?
They are his servants. He commands them. They do what he tells them to do. You know, you're either religious and you follow these things, or you reject it all, and that's your problem, because, I mean, I think life is so much sweeter to have a God that you believe in, to have a Christ that is going to be the link between you and God. It's so much sweeter. And to invoke the angels, I'm telling you, I could write another book just about the miracles that have come about by invoking the angels, by praying in the name of the Christ. Prayer, and the other book I've written after the angel book is Magic and Religion. I mean, you can almost say that the answers to prayers and the things that one can achieve through prayer is magic. They both use power words. So,
can you share some of those power words with us?
Share a power word. There are prayers. There are some in the book. I've written an invocation that is absolutely infallible. And then there are, of course, if you're a Hindu, there are mantras. Don't forget, in the old days, they used to achieve victories over their enemies just by sitting in a corner of the field and chanting mantras. The king used to bring his priests and say, look, I want to overcome that enemy because he's attacked the country. They used to, with their mantras, they'd bring down fire and burn all his fields and things. And then the enemy's king would say to the priests, will you counteract that fire? And they, with their mantras, they used to bring down rain. These are all power words. And you can poo-poo them as much as you like, you skeptics. But the thing is that if you go even to America, the North American Indians, yeah, even now there was an oil tycoon who went to America and took somebody, an old lady in her 80s. He took her with him in the plane to Texas to bring down the rain because they hadn't had rain for 2-3 years. Everything was shriveling up. She sat there, she could hardly read and write. Within half an hour, she brought the rain down with her mumbo-jumbo, words of power. There is such a thing as word of power. There are some people who believe in nothing. It doesn't matter what you tell them. Then just give up on them. Let them stew in their own disbelief. If they want to live life on that level of disbelief and skepticism, we'll let them. I believe in them, and I know millions of other people do, and it makes life sweeter, easier.
So in days gone by,
we're helping the cosmic war. We're siding on the side of good.
So in days gone by, the first line of defense was a spiritual barrier, a spiritual wall, where either through these words or through prayer, we could say even, in fact.
Well, that's what prayer is, power words. That's exactly what prayer is.
And is there a connection between when we pray and the presence of angels?
Absolutely. How can you be praying, connecting God, and not have angels all around you? They might be here in this room, hundreds of them, applauding because we're siding with the angels.
Are they evolving? Are they just as human
beings?
Yes,
but then that's a subject of a whole other book, because I read somewhere that angels envy human beings because they have a physical body, and until you've been through the physical body, we were angels once, you see, that's a whole other territory. But if you want the answer as to how I see things, We were here, we were angels, we're fallen angels, but not fallen to that degree. We're fallen, like the story of the prodigal son that Christ talks about. We were with God, we were with the Father, we chose to visit the physical world, material world. We fell in love with the material world and forgot our way back to the Father. That's the story of the prodigal son returning. So
there is an evolution of angels.
there is an evolution if they manage to get into a body, and in spite of all the pain and the sorrow that we have to go through as human beings, and we still come out of it with flying colours, still believing in God, having evolved and become as perfect as we possibly can. And then when we become angels again, we are the angels that have gone through the test. We've gone through the university of life. And we're of a higher caliber, if you know. They're still green because they haven't gone through the pain of physicality. So they're all waiting their turn. They're all waiting to get into a human body and see what they can make of it and then return. That's what I read.
And based on that, are you saying that it's actually possible for an angel and a physical human being to have some kind of physical relationship?
Not physical. It can't be a physical relationship, no.
No.
Because an angel is not in a physical form.
So what is meant by an angel coming into the body?
No, an angel will be given a body at birth. Like, you know, if a woman conceives, where does the soul come from? You see, the world is so full of people who are anti-reincarnation that you can't talk about this without everybody's hackles rising. Oh, what's she talking about? But the thing is that there are millions who do believe in reincarnation, and this makes sense. Millions. And it makes sense that we were here before. We were somewhere before, because in the Psalms, God is saying, quoted as saying, "Before you were born, I knew you."
But the conclusion of it is that angels exist, and we in fact are angels in a former life. That's what you're saying?
Yes, and we're going through the test. We chose to come into the physical world. God said, "Stay with me," and we said, "Nah, he's gone. Well, I want to go too. I want to taste flowers and birds and sex and friendship and chocolate and everything that the physical senses give us." And then we have a lovely time. And in the prodigal son in the Bible, he finishes the money and all his friends leave him, and he's reduced to looking after pigs and eating, what are they called, the locusts with the pigs. And he says, "What am I doing here? My father's servants are having a better time. I'm going back."
Now, Joy, you had your own experience where you were healed by an angel. And do you think angels have a role to play in terms of healing human suffering? And also connected to that, if we wanted to invite angels to actually help us to be able to overcome or to go beyond suffering, how can we do that?
Prayer, invocation, call upon them. If I want you to help me move this table and you're in the other room, all I have to do is call you. "Could you come and help me, please?" And you'd come. Well, if you're so willing to come and help me move a table, they will also come.
Joe, does it really make a difference if one person by themselves prays and tries to connect with God and harness the power of angels? Or does it really make a difference if they're in a collective, in a group, like in a temple or in a mosque?
Yes. Well, every religious leader has said, gather together. Because the analogy they give is that if you're in a dark cave and you've got a candle and you've lit your candle, it's going to dissipate the darkness, but only in a limited way. And then somebody else comes in with a candle and you give them some of your light, and there are two of you, There's more light than there was before you were there, and so on and so forth. And the more people are in the cave with lit candles, the less darkness there is. So there's something about a collective energy that every religion practices. That's why they've built temples and churches and mosques and synagogues. In every religion, isn't it amazing? Every religion, they all group together. Even the Druids, hundreds of years ago, they didn't have a proper temple, but they had what is now called...
Stonehenge?
Huh?
Stonehenge?
Yes, Stonehenge. As far back as that. There's something about the synergy of several energies together. It makes sense in a way, you know, the more people...
And what's the metaphor, like the candle? You said we all have a candle.
We all have a candle. I mean, if you side with if you're a spiritual person, your light is lit. If you're not a spiritual person, you're in the darkness. You need someone to light you. Enlightenment. You know, we each need to be enlightened.
And on that journey, angels can help us to make sure that we...
Angel can help us, we can help ourselves, God can help us, the Christ can help us, whatever prophet we believe in. If we follow the instructions, everything can help us. I can help you and you can help me. We can help each other. A book can help you. Anything that switches you on to the God consciousness and fills you with the love and awe and wonder of what the Creator has done, anything like that is going to help with your enlightenment. You're not going to put it all on it's not the angels that are really responsible. You're responsible for yourself and I'm responsible for myself. But if we say, oh, help me, you know, I may be responsible to move that table there, but if it's too heavy for me, I can call somebody and I can say, please help. One person can come, two people can come. We help each other.
Okay, so it definitely makes a difference being in a collective, in a group, when we're setting out to pray and to harness this energy to connect with God. However, how about if we're in the city or in the countryside, in the wilderness or on top of a mountain? Does that make a difference? Does that perhaps give the angels a chance of connecting with us even more?
The answer is yes, it will give the angels a chance to connect with us more, but not because you're on the mountaintop or because you're in the wilderness, but because you're in a place where there are no distractions to the mind. You see, if you're in the city, with all the activities that go on in the city, theatre, cinema, parties, technology, all that kind of stuff, earning a living, if your mind is outside yourself, you can't connect with the inner God. That's why people go to a wilderness or up to the mountaintop, because the air is pure, there's peace, there's quiet, there aren't all these distractions, and then you're able to go within and commune within your own heart, like it tells you to in all the scriptures. Be silent, be quiet, and know that I am God. So that's why it's necessary to go to the... But if you're very strong and you are spiritually evolved, it doesn't matter if you're in the city, you're able to connect with the God within, even in the middle of a multitude. Even Christ himself went to the wilderness for 40 days and became realized and strengthened to such an extent that when he did go back into the marketplace, as the Buddha says, do, after you've achieved enlightenment, go into the marketplace. You can't stay alone, you can't keep it to yourself. You have to diffuse it, give it to others. He came, and there were 5,000 people around him. When he fed the 5,000, there were 5,000 people sitting at his feet, listening to him, teaching them. So when you do have moments of solitude like that, it strengthens you. And then when you do go back to the city, to the job or the family and all the demands that are made on you and all the distractions, you've still got the strength and the power and the possibility and the know-how of how to switch off, even if you're in the middle of the jungle, and connect with your inner God.
Well, on that note, Joy, thank you once again for coming on the show and sharing with us.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
You've been watching The Defining Moment for Creating the Culture of Conscience. If you'd like to see more of our shows, we're on the web at www.definingmoment.eu. Thank you for watching, and we wish you all the best.